do you find that the marketing departments uh, for European brands and the US, either prospects or customers that you have, are different using different KPIs and different objectives in their marketing just based on where they are and maybe privacy implications, not often being able to tie back identity to marketing, or it's pretty consistent?
The most common mistakes are uh, it's sometimes shocking. I'm always shocked, but it's actually true that the smallest brands, like who are spending like tens of thousands per year, have the same problems as brands that are spending millions per month. So it's sometimes the same to work with a big brand or with a very small brand. We have usually the same problems with tracking, data attribution, campaign settings.
You are listening to Power Marketing with Kevin Lee. Kevin and his agency Did It have helped thousands of businesses win through superior marketing, as have his books, articles, speaking engagements, and the E-Marketing Association Power Marketing podcasts. Here's Kevin.
Super excited to follow up with Vytis Bareika, who I met at the Mobile Growth Association Summit in Vegas probably about a month and a half ago now. And like me, he wears multiple hats, but mainly two. So one is the Define Chase digital marketing agency, and then there's also BlockGames. So I'd love for you to talk about how you split your week between those two endeavors, Vytis.
Yeah, sure. So thanks for having me, and yeah, nice to talk to you once again after Vegas. So so I own a marketing agency. We mostly focus on brand and performance marketing digitally, with a strong focus on mobile marketing, and that's where BlockGames is. BlockGames is a Web3 project, and they are also publishing ecosystem for multiple mobile games. So we help other games to scale for us.
So is it basically the BlockGames? Is it an SDK that a game developer could add to a game to create sort of a consistency across games of points or tokens or anything? Is that how it works, or what's the specific value proposition to the game developer?
Sure. So a game developer usually has an MMP, mobile measurement partner like AppsFlyer or just Singular Coachella, Branch, and others. So and we are one of those. Well, we partner with those MMPs, and through the selected MMP, you can integrate with us. And by doing so, we set challenges that you want our users to achieve. So, for example, the user wants to. So you want the user to sign up, complete 7 levels, well, do lots of different things, and what we then agree on is that if the user from our app comes to your app, installs it, and finishes the challenge, we reward him with coins. So basically, you're paying us on a CPA basis for the cost per engagement, and we provide you that specific thing that you were requiring us to do so. And since we have multiple games, so we have hundreds of games that are available in the US, and they keep on coming, and well, basically players play, they get rewarded, they can then change those coins into gift cards, Amazon, PayPal, even there's Web3 element for USDT, and yeah.
So is there data on how much having a reward system increases gameplay? I would imagine, obviously, it's an incentive to change one's behavior as a gamer to have an incentive system in place. But as with loyalty programs in every ecosystem that exists out there, from airline miles to every other point system that's ever been invented, the platforms that create the points, right, or create the incentives are always struggling with incrementality. Like, what is the marginal increase in usage or play or monetization or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, your KPIs, as a result of the rewards ecosystem. So I'd be curious, you know, if you have data on sort of how much behavior changes.
Yes, so we are actually monetizing, well, checking mostly our data and what we are helping uh, the other apps do. So the flow is quite simple. User opens our app. He can see different games he wants to play. He selects one game that caught his eye, and then he's like, okay, I will play it. And I see there are some challenges. So when he completes the challenge, he's getting the reward for that specific activity. And so it's like a questing, challenging type of gameplay. But yeah, you have plenty of games to choose from, and the main benefit for the game publisher or the game creator is that you're basically getting traffic that really wants to achieve and complete challenges to also not only enjoy the game but also to get rewarded for it. So in a traditional marketing sense, like if you're buying Facebook ads, you're buying Google ads, you're paying for impressions basically. In our case, you're paying just for the action that you got. So you just calculate how much it's worth paying for us to us, and the math is very simple. We agree on the price and let's go.
Right. Do most game publishers believe, either rightly or wrongly, that once they get the user addicted to the game because they've reached a specific challenge level, that at that point they can remove additional incentives and the person will just be gamified into continuing to play? Or do they want to continue to feed the behavior on an ongoing basis and continue to reward certain behaviors?
Yeah, of course. So the longer the user is, the higher the LTV. So everyone wants to increase the lifetime value of their users and to make them hooked and play for longer periods. And that totally makes sense. So yeah, so there are different challenges, and the more you complete them, so the harder they are, the bigger the reward is for that specific user.
Right.
And we, since we have tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of users. Actually, we have more than 1.5 million of registered users already within the ecosystem. So we know the users, we can identify them, what games they're playing. They're also, since it's a Web3, also with Web3 integration, we have their wallets connected. So we have some data pools and data sets that help us to attract more valuable users for that specific mobile game.
Cool, cool. So then, wearing your digital marketing agency hat, is that also primarily focused on user acquisition and installs as well for mobile games and mobile apps?
Yeah, so to be honest, I'm in digital marketing industry for 12 years. So it's been a long and fun ride. And I started from just selling services, as just cold calling and, hey, do you do Google ads? I cannot see you and search, uh, just cold calls. And then basically worked in the biggest agencies in my region. So it's in the Baltic states. In the Europe. And with the biggest brands, IKEA, Lego, and so it's not only games, it's not only mobile apps, it's SaaS, fintech, e-commerce. But we are very strong with mobile apps because we had experiences, and I have experience personally managing apps that have like 500 million downloads, hundreds of millions of downloads, and lots of games were and apps soft launched, global launched by me and my team.
Cool. So, for the media that you manage, you know, you're in Lithuania, obviously. It may be easier for you to close business, you know, in the EU and the general vicinity as opposed to closing US business. But do you find that you've also got a significant percentage of US business that you're managing?
It's growing, and that's why we met each other in Vegas, and yeah, that's how it goes. You have to be in the region that you're interested in, and it's very hard to do so when you're like 7 hours, difference.
Right, right. So, what would the elevator pitch be to U.S. prospects for using yourself as an agency, you know, based in Lithuania?
Yeah, so basically, I would say that the 12 years experience with different brands in different sectors, and that we manage more than $100 million of ad spend effectively. So that's the main pitch, the scale that it's more than 100 million of USD.
Right, right. Do you find that the marketing departments uh, for European brands and the U.S. either prospects or customers that you have are different using different KPIs and different objectives in their marketing just based on where they are and maybe privacy implications, you know, not often being able to tie back identity to marketing, or it's pretty consistent?
The most common mistakes are uh, it's sometimes shocking. I'm always shocked, but it's actually true that the smallest brands, like who are spending like tens of thousands per year, have the same problems as brands that are spending millions per month. So it's sometimes the same to work with a big brand or with a very small brand. We have usually the same problems with tracking, data attribution, campaign settings. So I guess, yeah, the second pitch would be that we're very strong with tracking and attribution. And that's where we help the clients to make sense with the data. So then the biggest difference comparing Europe to the States is that Europe has GDPR. You can see cookie consent banners everywhere. So I would say that US is less strict in that way, and it's a bit more easier. So that's the biggest difference.
Right, right. Do you find that the marketing mix is different for your US versus international clients? Are they, you know, more lopsided Google versus Meta slash social, one way or the other based on their location?
Yeah, so there are differences. So, for example, in Norway, as an example, Snapchat is like one of the most popular social channels. Twitter is very popular in States, not as popular here in Lithuania, for example. So there are differences, and you need to know them. But the media mix is usually very similar: Google, Facebook, then TikTok, and if it's on an app, there's the plugin Unity, Bungle. So, but I would say that it really depends. If you want to especially target one country, then you need to know a bit more about it, like the Norway example.
Right, right. The
Sure.
you know what one of the things that exists, you know, in sort of the intersection between your BlockGames persona and media buying is that once you're using the blockchain to tag, you know, connect people's wallets, the opportunity arises, you know, for you to sort of be up against the edge of GDPR with regards to, you know, maintaining privacy and segmenting the data, but yet potentially allow for via anonymization of the data to have a little bit more information about a person's behaviors, right, and optimize around those. So I'd love to hear how you're thinking about maybe even outside of within the mobile SDKs and within gaming, how there might be an opportunity to still anonymously target folks because the ecosystem, particularly the RTB ecosystem and display, is still struggling with, how do we in a privacy safe manner create identity graphs that allow us to delight the consumer, right? Because they want to see targeted advertising. They don't want to see untargeted ads,
Right.
but deal with the privacy implications of GDPR in Europe, and also, California and some states in the United States are also starting to move in a very privacy centric way.
Yeah, so this is one of harder subjects, especially when you have lots of data points, you have device IDs, you have the web wallets, and all that smart contracts and everything. So it's a big mess, I could call it, and that's what we're trying to solve. And I think we're still just searching for best ways to do so. And yeah. I would say that it's still work in progress. We're already seeing some nice things. We're trying to build we call it a universal player profile, where we basically create a profile based on user activities on everything. Try to identify potential whales, those who are high spenders, high net value individuals. So that will be the fuel for the games that are trying to get users with the help of us. So
Right.
that's one of the big things is the profile.
Right. Now, I know within the web ecosystem, and maybe this is to some extent true in mobile, people are struggling with the move from Universal Analytics to GA4, and that they sort of lost some functionality. I think part of the functionality loss was due to GDPR, right? Where they wanted to create a new version of GA that sort of met the privacy requirements of Europe, but had unintended or maybe intended consequences of pulling out a lot of things that people became used to. So I'd be curious, what your hypotheses are around sort of the continued usefulness of uh, GA4 in relationship to other tracking ecosystems that may exist only in mobile or bridge across mobile into desktop, or app versus mobile/desktop.
Sure. So that's a great question. We have many clients that are still calling us and asking for help with GA4, especially with mobile. And regards to mobile, I see a bigger shift to mixed panel actually. So people are starting to switch providers and they're going to mixed panel as an example,
Mhm.
who is a bit more friendlier for some tech savvy people. But there are also some bigger requirements from the development side. You need to create all of the events like first open. You have to just create that specific event because it's not there. So lots of technical work is needed. But yeah, I see a big shift to mixed panel as a tool. And in regards to GA4, I still think it's great. And you also need it because you're usually using Firebase from apps. You need to send events to Google Ads to optimize for them. You have A/B testing. You have remote config to change environments. So there's a lot of things and predictions being done through GA4. But I guess my biggest recommendation, if you're a bit more privacy centered and you want cleanest data possible and using GA4, is to start using BigQuery, where you can export all the raw data and store it. And that's the best tip from my side, because GA4 has lots of sample data, and that sample data is usually on a very small percentage. If you're using if your website traffic is low and you use Google Signals, there's data thresholds. Well, there's lots of different things that make your data look incorrect.
Yeah. No, I think it's amazing how few marketers understand that GA in particular, but some other um, analytics platforms as well, are using sample data. It's not census level data,
Yeah,
right? And there are some people that think, well, if it's in a spreadsheet, it must be true.
exactly.
Well, that's not necessary. Or if it's in a report, it must be true. And I do feel like there's a bit of a vacuum in the ecosystem, perhaps still, with regards to when marketers need census level data analytics and tracking in order to understand, true monetization, the true difference between an average user and a power user slash whale, right? You can't do that when you're only using sample data, right? You need to have raw data for that. So I would agree with you. There's an opportunity for additional or supplemental players to run in parallel with GA and create sort of more robust census level reporting. It's never perfect because you always have data leakage, but you certainly want to move towards census level data from sample level data.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the most common problem I see with bigger companies is they're struggling with data, and GFR is usually one of those problems.
The other thing is some brands, I think, are later to the game, and maybe this is not so much in Europe, but are late to the game with regards to understanding how valuable first party data is. And they kicked the can down the road again with Google Chrome third party cookies
True.
being fully deprecated. But you still, should have the most robust possible first party data set as a marketer. And it continues to amaze me, I guess, that how often you get in conversations with marketers and that they don't have the back end first party data, nor even the business intelligence to understand the difference between their best customers and their average customers. And so
Yeah,
they end up using the wrong KPIs like, CAC. All right, well, that's average, right? That's an average person. Who cares about the average person? What does the power customer look like? Do you find that that's the case as well when you go in and talk to folks?
yeah. I'm auditing like unicorns, actual unicorns or to be unicorns, and they still don't know they're optimizing towards CPA, but then they should be optimizing towards ROS or RI or whatever, and they usually don't know all the numbers like the LTV, the CAC, well, lots of things, and you have to educate them on those metrics and why does it matter, and yeah.
So how much time during a pitch do you and your business development team spend educating the prospects, as part of doing the right thing for them, right? Because if they've been doing the wrong thing for a long time, but the entire chain who's seeing the reports from them is all non-educated, right? Or using reports that don't accurately represent the KPIs that they should. How do you approach that from an education perspective?
Yeah, I'll come back to that. I also got, yeah, you also pointed first party data, and I want to finish on that one. That first party data is also very important for advertising as well,
Yeah.
because I see that most of the companies are not sending back first party data to optimize Google Ads, Facebook Ads, any other ad platform. And which can be automated. You can just send user first name, last name, address, zip code, everything, and then provide more and better signals for the algorithms as well. So that's
Yeah.
one thing that also is not used that often. So regarding the education, so usually how we do our pitch is most clients are coming from referrals or from social media actually. So we usually offer a free audit, and it's like 1-2 pages of audit.
Yeah, we do the same thing.
And we pinpoint the problems and then educate what that problem actually means. And then it's very easy to prove a point, because you can see that, well, you should be doing that, but you're doing this, and they are mind blown because they can see that there's like hundreds of problems they have. So then you say, well, these are top 5. We must start with them, and then other 95 will follow.
Yeah, I still remember a major retailer that I was pitching maybe 11 or 12 years ago. And we did one of the audits and we presented the findings and a punch list of all the things and exactly our estimates of how much improvement would come from those things. And the prospect didn't believe us that it could make such a huge difference. So they like kept postponing and postponing and postponing. It was about over a year later, they finally became a client. And of course, we crushed the estimates because we're usually conservative. And they said, "Oh, wow, we thought you were lying. We would have done this much earlier if we didn't think that you were lying." But it's hard numbers. Like, I mean, here it is. Here's the problems. Here's the solutions. Here's how much lift you can expect to see. But I guess it's there's a skepticism, right? If you show a number that's too big, right? I think we showed like a 24% lift. We got over 30% lift. So it's like and 24 was a big enough number to make a change, right? But we were being conservative. So skepticism sometimes, if your numbers are your estimates of improvement are too big, the people don't believe it.
Yeah, that's one common practice in agencies. Yeah, to over deliver. And I can give you one tool that we actually use, and it's very useful for Google Ads auditing. It's TrueClicks.com. TrueClicks.
Mhm.
So it's for Google Ads. It monitors all of our clients' accounts daily. It's like every hour almost, and it checks for errors, for redirects, for issues for everything. So TrueClicks.com.
Cool. Well, I'll include when we post this on the eMarketing Association. We'll include a link there for people who want to use the platform.
Not sponsored.
What's that?
It's not sponsored.
No, not sponsored. You're genuinely a fan.
Well, I have a referral code if you want to attach it. So
Great. Well, any other recommendations to marketers for the next year with regards to things that they should focus on? If they didn't call you or me for an audit, right, but they still want to go in and take a temperature of their campaigns. Any recommendations of things that they should, look at first?
yeah, clearly define your goals, your KPIs. So if it's revenue, so are campaigns optimized for revenue? If it's profit, or do you know the LTV and well, most of the main metrics? If the answer is yes, then you're doing great, and then optimize towards those goals. Improve your data with tracking and analytics. Try to maintain the policy because Google Consent Mode is launched. Everything is moving to first-party data, and you need to track the first-party data with emails and everything to then match your ad campaigns with that. And stay focused and try to innovate. Don't do the same things that you did 5 years ago. Always have at least, I would say, 15% of budget for testing new channels, new ideas, and yeah.
Cool. And then for the publishers, it seems like one of your tips to publishers is make sure that you're passing the identity data into the ad server so that the ad server can, serve the best possible ads to the individual. And to the extent that there's any publishers, whether they're game publishers or otherwise watching, it seems like that's one of your primary recommendations there. Any other recommendations for publishers for them to run their businesses better?
Yeah, so have, I guess, multiple engines, so not only one. So usually you use AdMob or whatever, but you can do a pre-bid server. You can have a pre-bid server with multiple mediation platforms in those. So yeah, try to expand your reach to have a bigger coverage. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also great to de-risk yourself to have more than one engine attached. Great. Thanks so much for joining me and for sharing your wisdom and best practices. I look forward to crossing paths with you at another event in the future.
Awesome. Likewise.
Kevin Lee's Power Marketing is available on all your favorite podcast networks. Kevin loves helping businesses excel at marketing. Having marketing challenges? Just like Santa in the Miracle on 34th Street, if Kevin can't help you, he'll know someone who can. Find him on LinkedIn, subscribe, or follow.